Hi, this is Queenie Yu from Bullet Point News. I'm with Dan Mangan, a two-time JUNO Award-winning and two-time Polaris Music Prize-nominated musician and songwriter who lives in Vancouver with his wife and two sons. Dan has toured extensively in North America, Europe, and Australia. He co-scored a soundtrack for the feature film Hector and the Search for Happiness and scored the music for the Netflix animated show Hilda, as well as the CBC AMC miniseries Unspeakable. Dan, welcome to Bullet Point News.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Dan, you're going to perform at the Wintersong Music Festival in Stouffville on Friday, January 20th at 9 p.m., and tickets are sold out for your show. What can the audience expect that night?
Oh, well, it's going to be a full band show. I'll have the quartet there. I think it's going to be a really nice night. I know that there's a lot of great acts playing at the festival. And I think generally when we perform, my primary goal is to sort of remove the smoke and mirrors or any kind of pedestal of the stage and just try to be humans in a room, and try to break down barriers. And I think that in a best case scenario, the artist is the first to sort of put down their armor and be their most vulnerable self, and then that generally gives the audience permission to do it as well. And that's when you get that show where everything can, the whole can be greater than the sum of the parts. That's the best case scenario. But I tend to get the audience involved. There's some singing involved. We've got this crazy light orb thing, and we wander out into the crowd usually at the end of the show, and it's theatrical and always feels kind of special.
Dan, what do you love most about performing, and is there a song that you like singing the most?
Um, I feel like for me, being on stage is sort of like it's like my version of church. It's kind of where I feel the most connected to people and to myself, and so that's my favorite thing about touring, I suppose. Um, and when it comes to favorite songs, if you ask most artists, they will say that it's their new stuff that they're excited to play. So I'm no different. That whatever's from the new record, songs like Just Know It or Fire Escape, those are always the most fun for me.
Dan, is there a message you like to convey in your music?
Totally. I think that caring is okay, and that there's strength in vulnerability, and that generally that the more connected we feel to each other, the more empathy in the world, the less fear. Um, I think those are generally good things.
On Canada Day in 2011, you performed for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. What was that like?
It was pretty wild. There's about 300,000 people on Parliament Hill, and I performed, and Will and Kate were just kind of over to my left, and then afterwards, shook their hands and stuff. It was kind of a bizarre, bizarre experience in many ways, but it's cool. I think sometimes life hands you interesting opportunities, and generally it's a good thing to take those with a yes attitude. So I was quick to jump on that. It was something. I got some good pictures out of it and a good story.
You and your business partner appeared in an episode of Dragon's Den. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was for a company that I co-founded in 2017 called Side Door, which is a marketplace for the arts where any space is a venue. You could liken it to sort of Airbnb for concerts. So you can make a profile for your living room, your backyard, your bookstore, whatever, connect directly with artists, build shows together. Each show can have a unique revenue split, so you can sell tickets and then share the proceeds. Everyone gets paid out transparently after the show. It's all very fair. And it's all part of this, sort of effort to democratize and decentralize live entertainment, so that we can have a large swath of middle class artists who can make a living doing what they love, whether or not they're famous. And recently we were on Dragon's Den and we did get offered a deal, which is pretty cool. Again, strange, I would have never expected in my life that I would be co-founding a tech company. I would also never expect that I would be on Dragon's Den, but here we are. Life has interesting twists and turns.
What advice would you give a young person who wants to become a musician and songwriter?
Man, I've always said buy a van, you know, get on the road, play as many shows as you can, take any gig you can get, play 500 shows, you'd be amazed what can happen. That's always what I've said. I feel like these days there's so much emphasis on social media, and that you kind of have to prove yourself on social media first, and um, you know, then you can start touring. But I think that there's no better training than to just be in front of people, kind of bearing your soul, and always get, surround yourself with people who make you feel like things are possible, because they are. If there's no community around you, build one. Um, Always have an appetite to get better at what you're doing. I think the second you feel like you figured it all out and you're great is when you start getting worse at something. So, continuing to have that hunger to improve, spend the time holding a guitar and or an instrument of any kind, whatever. But just to, get that 10,000 hours in, and you'd be amazed what will happen if you just apply in honesty and integrity and kindness into any avenue in your life.
You talked about spending time with people who think it's possible. Why is that important?
Because it's unlikely to work. The odds are stacked against you. And so, to spend time around other people who have the same kind of, naive optimism that it can work, and it can go somewhere for you, I think is helpful, because it gets you around people who are doers, and people who have a mission. I mean, I feel like the second that I figured that I would be okay to be poor my whole life as long as I was playing music, I remember sort of having that thought, be like, well, being poor is not that bad. You just, you know, uh, and I sort of made the decision that I was willing to be that. And interestingly, that's when I started getting paid to make music, was when I was put 2 feet on the train and risked it all. And I know many people who sort of said, "Oh, I'll try music for a couple of years, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll go try Plan B." And every one of those people went Plan B. Um, it's kind of there's no rational reason to try and be an artist as a career. So you have to do it because you just can't picture yourself doing anything else.
What would you say is your greatest accomplishment and why?
Um, I love the fact that my songs have become part of like family lore and relationship lore and friendship lore and college lore. Like the idea that people hear one of my songs and it takes them back to a road trip that they were on or something. I've received some incredible, DMs and emails from people, just telling me some story about how one of my songs played an important role in a memory or a moment or a very special time in their life. And that's the deepest fruition I can think of, because when I think about what other people's music has done for me in my life, the idea that I could pay that forward is that's the best.
You performed in front of large audiences, and soon you'll be coming to Stouffville, a town of 50,000. How does that feel?
Good. I mean, I'm no stranger to small towns. I've played a lot of them over the years, and honestly, I don't feel like the quantity, the size of the show ever dictates how great it is. It's, some of my most favorite shows have been to 50 people. Um, so I don't I look forward to it. I've never been to Stouffville, so here's my opportunity to check it out. And there's lots of great other bands. Stars are playing. The lineup is long. I can't believe how many acts are playing this festival. So we're all going to infiltrate your small town for a little while, and you have to put up with us.
What would you say? What would you like to say to everyone coming to Stouffville for the Wintersong Music Festival?
Um, that live music is best enjoyed not with your arms crossed at the back of the room, but in the pit. Move forward. Get involved. Life is now, and generally when I when I think about any kind of live show or something that I go to. Anytime I lean back, I don't enjoy it. Anytime I lean forward, I enjoy it. So lean forward.
There's going to be a pre-party before your performance. What's involved in that?
I don't know. I haven't heard about it. Yeah, this is the first time hearing, so sounds like fun.
Well, I look forward to seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah, me too. Well, who knows? Anything can happen in Stouffville, you know.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us on Bullet Point News. I look forward to meeting you in person on January the 20th.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you, Queenie. Have a great day.